All right, people, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another video. And I'm here to talk about a little movie called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring Nick Cage as, of course, himself, Pedro Pascal as, kind of himself. And I was super excited for this movie. When I saw the trailer, I was like, this could go either way. This could be the best thing ever or a complete misfire, but a good idea, even if it was a misfire. Nick Cage playing himself. He's a kind of a deadbeat. No one wants him for roles anymore. He just accepts whatever money he can get. He meets a Nick Cage fan who happens to be a millionaire, or even more so. And they hit it off and they just hang out. And it's Pedro Pascal and Nick Cage. I'm like, fuck, that's like a movie made for me. They just put Oscar Isaac in there and it would have been perfect. So I was super excited for it. I love Nick Cage, huge Nick Cage fan. So I was expecting there to be a lot of references, which there are. But you know what? This is a movie that I'm just gonna tell you right here. I fucking loved this movie. I loved it. I really did. But I feel like even if you're not the biggest Nick Cage fan, you're still gonna enjoy this movie because it's very well written, very sincere, has a lot of heart. And besides the last, I would say, like 10 minutes of the movie, I think it's really well constructed, really well structured as a story too. Like, you know where it's going, but the movie knows that you know where it's going, and they like to throw just like little pieces of dialogue between the characters that like just to kind of like wink at the audience, like, yeah, you know where it's going. It pretty much might as well be fourth wall breaking stuff, and it's really good. I was floored by this movie. I would just sit here like not laughing all the time, but just fucking just loving it, loving the entire movie, really, except for that last 10 minutes, I will say, which I really liked still, but just not as much as the first hour and 30 minutes. But yeah, if you want to know if you should see this movie, especially if you're a Nick Cage fan, I mean, you should have saw the trailer or any of the clips that are being posted on the internet. You should know if you should see this movie by now, but you should definitely see this movie if you're a big Nick Cage fan. But even if you're not, if you're looking for a really funny, very clever comedy with some great acting, some great supporting actors and stuff, supporting cast is what I meant to say, then I highly recommend it. The reason why I'm getting through this review so quick is because I want to talk about it, but it's going to be... there's no way I'm not going to be able to spoil this movie because I need to talk about some things. But yeah, Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal both give phenomenal performances. They're both fantastic in it, and they are so good together. Every time they're talking, and it's just a nice little mundane shot of them, back and forth talking. I was glued. I was like, these two are adorable. They're great together. They are fantastic together. And I almost wish the movie was 30 minutes longer so we could just see, and that 30 minutes is just filled up with them doing shenanigans, because there's not enough shenanigans. I think the story gets in the way a little bit of that. The story is great. I really like it, but the shenanigans is what I really wanted to see, and we get that. We get a lot of that, just not as much as I want, but I want too much. So, I mean, the movie has to end at some point. So, yeah, if it was like even 20 minutes longer, it was just like, oh, let's do this now, let's do that. Oh, but that stuff was amazing. All that stuff is like made to be watched as clips too. Like, oh, I love that entire movie, but right now I feel like watching the part where they do LSD. Let's do it, and it's great. You know what? I'm feeling that scene in the car where they're talking about how much they love each other. I want to watch that because it's heartwarming. That scene where they swap shoes for no reason. I want to watch that scene. Sorry, now I'm getting into some spoilers. But yeah, it was a blast watching those two together. And again, the supporting cast is great. Tiffany Haddish is not screaming and yelling. She's actually really subtle in this movie, which I thought was really good for her, because I've seen too many movies lately, well, maybe not lately, in the last couple of years, where all she does is scream and yell. And yeah, I was getting sick of it. But to be fair, I just saw the card counter too, which I thought she was good in. She was definitely not as good as my boy Oscar Isaac, but she was good. She tried, and she wasn't screaming and yelling in that. And yeah, she was good. She was good in this. Ike Barinholtz is actually not in the movie as much as I thought he would be. Like, he only shows up like 4 times. And yeah, I thought he was funny, though. I will give him, he had a couple really funny moments. So shout outs to him. Shout outs to Ike Barinholtz. I actually like that guy, and I feel like he never gets I don't know, I don't want to say his due, because he's in a lot of stuff, but he never is like he's not like a major character. I think the only movie I could think of that he was a major character was that Cock Blockers movie. I think it was called Blockers. You know what it was actually called though. And I think he was in the Suicide Squad movie, right? The first one, Suicide Squad. Excuse me, not the Suicide Squad. He was also in Bright, everyone's favorite movie, Bright. Will Smith also. Uh, keep going, my wife's name on your fucking mouth. Anyway, sorry, excuse me. But yeah, it was a really fun time. But yeah, the supporting cast is great. What else do I want to talk about before I get into spoilers? The movie itself is well directed. Again, like the director Tom Gorikan, I think his name is. Which, by the way, Gorikan, hey, what's up? Are we related? He did a great job. He did a great job at directing all these actors. Even when it gets like a little goofy, it does get goofy. It does a good job of grounding it enough where I don't feel like it's like out of place. You know what I mean? Because there's times where the movie can get actually kind of serious and does a pretty good job at it. But then there's other times where I don't even want to spoil some things, but Nick Cage might be imagining things certain times and it gets really ridiculous, but it's so good. The beginning of the movie immediately sold me because it's people watching Nick Cage talk about how much they love Nick Cage, and then it cuts from that scene to Nick Cage driving in a car and he just goes, ah! That's it. I'm like, this is the perfect intro. This is the best movie already. It's already 10 out of 10. But yeah, no, Tom Gorikan definitely knows what he's doing. He did a great job directing, and the writing is fantastic too. The characters are all really well established. This version of Nick Cage, he's kind of I mean, we don't know how he is in real life, I guess, but he's kind of a deadbeat. He's in debt. The debt part was obviously shot at him actually being in debt for a little while. I think he might not be in debt now. I heard a news story recently that he actually just crawled out of debt, which is, I guess, good. I'm glad. Not I guess, but me saying it's good makes it sound like, like, oh, I'm glad he's out of debt when he shouldn't have ever been in debt because he's Nick Cage. Give him more money. I don't care what it is. Anyway. Yeah, it was just a delight, the entire movie. There's not much else to say besides these two together are fantastic. Nick Cage is fantastic. He does things I've actually never seen him do. There's things I don't just watch it. Just watch the movie. I'm telling you, if you are a fan of Nick Cage in any way, you'll love it. But if you love Pedro Pascal, you're gonna love this too because he's great. There's times where he actually steals the show from Nick Cage, and it's fucking amazing. Like, they're both great. And I love them both together. And I want to see it. You know what? I want them to be the new Gene Wilder and a Richard Pryor or whatever. Name a two team up where they kept making movies, but it's not the same, characters and story. It's like different movies, but they're always in it. You know what I mean? I would love that. Do it. I don't care. Next one should be like, I don't know, a buddy cop thing. Like Nicolas Cage is the jaded cop and Pedro Pascal is the rookie. I would watch it day zero. I'll break into the studio and watch a work print. I don't give a shit. Yeah, so I want to talk about just a little bit of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, which is possible because it's not even fully out yet. I mean, the first screenings over here just happened 2.5 hours ago. So I want to talk about some stuff. So a little bit of spoilers. I fucking died in the trailer you see a young Nick Cage at one point, which I was like, that's weird. Like, how are they gonna add that to the story? I thought maybe it would be a flashback or something, and I can't quite tell if it was like CG they did mixed with some makeup because it looked really good. It was obviously Nick Cage, and he doesn't look like that anymore. So I'm like, they must have did some CG because there is times where it kind of looked a little weird, but I couldn't tell if it was makeup or CG. It's obviously makeup or CG. It has to be one of them. But yeah, there's times where you see a young Nick Cage, and when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, that's weird, that's awesome, but weird. How's that going to fit in? And it's fucking brilliant. Nick Cage is so full of himself in this movie because he's all about his acting, and he doesn't care about his family that much. I mean, he does, but he's not like paying attention too much. That's the crux of the story too. It's not even really Pedro Pascal and Nick Cage. I mean, it is. Their friendship is definitely a big key of the movie. But what begins the movie and ends the movie is his relationship with his family, which is heartwarming, really good. But I loved that he's so full of himself that he actually envisions a younger version of himself he calls Nicky, that is him when he's crazy coked up like vampires kiss Nicolas Cage. And it's fucking amazing. It's so good. There's a scene. I'm not even kidding. This is probably the best scene I've ever seen in my life. There's a scene where Nicky slaps Nicolas Cage because he's talking down about acting. He doesn't want to act anymore. He slaps him. He says, "Fuck you, you're Nicolas Cage." It's that part in the trailer where he's like, "Nicolas," which the biggest laugh in my theater. Which, by the way, my theater was full, so I'm, fingers crossed the movie does well. Morbius wasn't full, but this one is. Just saying. Anyway, which it wasn't only Morbius was only not full because there was about 400 screenings in my theater. That's actually true. So, which is crazy. At the same time too, they had to build like 384 more theaters in this one theater just to show as many Morbius screenings as possible because that movie obviously made all the money. Everybody knows that. Anyway, I would say it's a meme, but can a meme be a meme if it's just true? Like legitimately. But yeah, so there's a part where he slaps him. Nicky slaps Nick Cage. And I know this makes no sense if you haven't seen the movie. And then he's like, "Hey, it's okay. Come here." And then I'm not even kidding. I was like, "Oh my God." They start fucking making out. I'm not kidding. Nick Cage and Nicolas Cage, Nicky Kim Coppola is what his name is in the credits because of course they separate the credits for young Nick Cage and old Nick Cage, or modern day Nick Cage. I don't want to say old. I don't even want to think about him being old. And they start making out. It's like a fanfic. it like Nicolas Cage from Vampire's Kiss or Face Off or whatever movie you want to name from his past. Wild at Heart, whatever. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh my God. There's a lot of great scenes. There are a lot of great scenes. I don't want to spoil too many. There's a whole physical comedy scene involving Nick Cage slowly succumbing to a drug, let's just say, and he's like it was almost reminding me of like Bruce Campbell in the Evil Dead movies whenever he had to do stuff like that, where he was like it was actually a really good physical comedy. So shout outs to Nick Cage. He's also good at that. What else do I want to bring up that's spoilerific? I kind of brought up that, it's all about the family aspect. It turns into an action movie towards the end, which is the only part I didn't love in the movie. I liked it, but there's like a whole elongated like car chase scene, which is fine. It's decently filmed. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it wasn't super exciting. It was cool to see like Nick Cage, normal Nick Cage, turn into an action hero later on, and the whole movie's like building that whole thing out because Javi, who is Pedro Pascal's character, I never mentioned that. At first you're thinking he's going to be the villain. Like, oh no, he's the villain. And then you find out, no, he's a good guy, which, hell yeah. I was actually happy to see that because I would have been really upset if they went full on villain with Javi. Like, towards the end, he's like, no, I'm evil and I kidnap people and murder people. I'm like, oh no, don't do that. And then they put another guy in as a villain, which is good. I'm glad. But the last 10 minutes, and there's a couple of awkward moments that don't quite work, but besides that, it's such a fucking fun movie. I really had a blast. It is the perfect movie for me because it has some goofy moments and some things that even don't make sense for the story. But it's fucking great, and it's Nick Cage being Nick Cage, doubly so. And there's a part where he goes in costume too, so he looks like Charlotte Copley, one of Charlotte Copley's characters in Hardcore Henry. I don't know why the fuck I brought that up. No one's gonna get that. And I say one of the characters, like anybody's gonna get that. But he looks great, and he's great. I just love him. I love it. This movie's great. I know this is a terrible review, but whatever. I don't really have much to say besides I really just enjoyed my time with it. The writing is great. It's funny. It's well acted. Very well acted. Great chemistry between the leads. The side characters, the supporting cast is great. It's a great movie. Like, I really have no complaints. So if I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10, honestly. Maybe even 9.5. I fucking really loved it. I can't wait to see it again. So there you go. That is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which, by the way, great title. There you go. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Till next time. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.